Well, what have we got today? Well, some time ago I acquired this old fly press. It was in a garage that was being cleared out and it was going to go to the scrap man. So I decided to take it, bring it home. I don't know what for really. It's really heavy and a hell of a job to get it into the van. We used an old door and rolled it up on that. Well, it's been stood on an old table outside my workshop for several years now, and the table was collapsing and it was getting a bit dangerous because I thought the dog might go under it and it would collapse or something, or one of my grandchildren. So I decided yesterday I would make this sort of bench table to put it on, as you can see here. I made it all from scrap wood and I've creosoted it, so it should last quite a while outside. I'm keeping the fly press outside. I haven't really got room for it inside. I'll use it anyway, but I just thought it's something. I've fiddled around with it, but anyway, why I'm making the video is, whilst I decided to do this, I decided it would also be a good idea to make an outside bench for my workshop. Quite often I'm doing a job and it's perhaps dirty, sandy, dusty, oily, whatever, and I don't want to do it in my workshop. It's better to do it outside. And so I decided to make an outside bench, and I'll show you where it's going to go. Well, this is where I thought of putting the bench. I thought it'd be really handy for when I'm doing things like angle grinding. If you're cutting metal, you don't really want to do it in the workshop. Well, you can do, I suppose, but you've got sparks blowing everywhere. And so it is good to do it outside, so I'm going to build a bench and put it there, and probably put an old voice on it as well. Oh, by the way, before I go in, I'll just show you my little trailer here. Let's move the camera around. This is my little trailer. It was a house clear out and it was all rotten and rusty, and the bottom had fallen out of it. But the wheels and the chassis were pretty good. So what I did, I bought it for 10 quid. It was for a good cause, so it didn't matter. And I've rebuilt it. I've made new sides and new handle. I've painted it all up. Put a new base on it. It's practically new actually. The sides come off and the back comes off. It's pulled along with a handle. I'm going to put a towing hook, I think, on the back there so that I can tow it with a little garden tractor as well, because it is quite heavy to pull if you've got heavy load in there. It's very handy when you're doing work outside. This is the first leg unit I've made for the outdoor bench. It's basically a couple of old fencing posts, and the bits across it that are actually parts of an old garden seat I had. I've just cut all the rough bits off. It's all recycled. Even the screws are really old screws that I obtained, which I'll go into in a minute. Now, I just thought I'd show one that's finished, and then I'm going to show the process of making the leg unit up. I've got the legs themselves here, which, as I already mentioned, are old fencing posts, just short ones. The cross members, these pieces here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put, rather than, I haven't got any wide pieces suitable to use on it without buying it, and I'm not buying any, so I'm going to use two pieces together like that. I'm not going to glue them because it's going outside and it doesn't need it anyway. I'm going to put those on side to side on the top for the top rail, and then for the bottom rail I've got a single one that'll go about 5 inches from the bottom of the leg, like so. Now, to hold these onto there, normally if I'm making a bench, you tend to glue these on, but again, as it's going outside, I don't see much point anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use some rather hefty screws. And if you watch some of my other videos, you'll know I've got a huge collection of these old traditional woodworking screws. I've got boxes and boxes of them. You've seen it in another video, and if you haven't, you can have a look now. They were my uncle's when he passed away in 2016. I was invited to sort out his old shed, and he had tons and tons of these from the old Lainsbury's factory. They were going to be thrown in a skip, and he salvaged them and kept them for years, and of course I grabbed them. So it's nice to be able to use them rather than seeing them thrown away. Now, what I'm going to show you is, this is the ones I'm using at the moment. They're 2 1/4 inch 12s. It's quite a rare size actually, you don't find them now, and modern skimpy screws aren't so good. Now, these screws, they're Nettlefolds, British made. They've been in these boxes for something like 80 years. They were used in making elevators by Lainsbury's of Kingham, and they stopped making elevators just after the war when the combine harvesters came in and balers. They didn't really need elevators anymore. They stopped making them. So these screws are sort of 80 years old. But the thing I want to say is, if you look at them, look inside the box, you'll see they're absolutely pristine. They're as shiny as the day they were put in there. No rust at all. I mean, that's amazing. You buy screws today, even zinc plated ones, and I found they're corroded and rusty after a few years, but these 80 years and they're still fine. They're brilliant. It's really nice to use them on this. I try and use old stuff where I can and recycle things, because for some reason I get pleasure in doing so. I've got tons of those, but because they're such odd sizes, you don't often find a use. Anyway, I'm going to use them on the legs here, so I'm just going to make a start and show you what I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is put this top one on. Top corner, you want to get it roughly square. Doesn't matter at this stage, because you can adjust it later by putting one screw in. This is the way I do it. This isn't probably the best way. Just get it roughly square. Now I'm going to use my DeWalt electric drill to drill a pilot hole in here. It's quite nice doing this sort of woodwork, because you haven't got to be too precise. You can just knock it up, and you know, you don't have to be too fussy, and it's quite nice actually. And it's nice using old materials. Got me screw there, and I'm going to use my favourite tool. Again, featured in another of my videos, the most dangerous tool in the workshop, the Yankee Stanley screwdriver. I really like using these, much better than an electric one. And watch how quick it wafts this screw in, and this is a big screw as well. I hope you can see this. It's a bit dark on the camera, I can't see what I'm doing. Right, here we go. I'll show you how good they are then. This is a big screw, a 2 1/4 inch 12. Watch this. Probably will go wrong. Look at that. Brilliant. Job done. What could be simpler? Eat your heart out, electric screwdriver. Just check it again. I'm going to put another screw in that one while I'm at it, because I've got that square anyway. Pilot hole. 2 1/4 inch 12. Very unusual. Get me Yankee on it. There we go. Lovely tool to use. You can get the screw really tight. I haven't even bothered counterstinking the holes, because it's just gone in perfectly or like that. Right, having done that one, I'm going to now go to the other side. Make sure you get it fairly square. Just put that on the other end to get the dimensions correct. Right, what I do normally, I just put one screw in this top corner. Where are we? There we are. I'm going to put one screw in the top corner here first, and then I can adjust it afterwards. So I've got to drill the hole first, drill a pilot hole. There you go. Put the screw in. Let me Stanley. I'm not going to do the whole thing like this, because you'll soon get fed up of watching somebody use a Stanley screwdriver. Brilliant, look at that. You could get a lot of power behind these, because it's got such a long handle. But look, watch this. Watch how dangerous it is. Boom. Imagine if you got your eye near this. You know, it's really scary actually. When you're using these on the bench, I would always advise people to make sure you leave it in the open position like that, and leave it down like that, like that. Don't keep it closed, because if you accidentally open it, and it can actually, it really flies out like anything. They're a really good tool, but they're really dangerous, I think. You don't use the job to get them now. I mean, I think you can only buy them second hand. They completely stopped making them. It's a shame, really. Everything's cordless now and electric. Anyway, that's the top one. Now I've got to do this one on the bottom here, the bottom rail. Make sure you get it about right there. Just using a measure, an ordinary ruler here. Again, you don't have to be precise. I think I did the other one at 5 inches, so I'll just make that about 5 inches. I don't need a pencil, I'm just going to do it roughly, you know. Can you see that? Because I can't tell what I'm filming or not. Just put one screw in there to start with. There we go. Right, here we go. I mean, you don't need an electric screwdriver. That does the job perfectly. I've got 4 of these actually with different size bits in. They're very useful. Measure that one at 5 inches. Don't have to be precise. Nobody's going to notice outside, are they? I'm only putting the one screw in at the moment, because I might have to adjust it. I might need to adjust it later, in case it's not square. So what I do, I put the one screw in each corner, and then I can check that it's square before I put the other screws in. And if it needs adjusting, I can do it. There we go. That's really firm. Those big screws will hold it together. I've got this one to put on the top here, this extra one here, But I'll do that in a minute when I've levelled it up. I'm just going to check that it's sort of level first. With this tool here, that one's alright. I'll just check this end. See, that's not quite square there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stand the leg up. As I say, it's not precise. I'm going to stand the leg up on the bench, and then I'm going to put my engineer square, put this engineer square against the leg and see that's not quite square. I don't like that. I'll give it a clout with a hammer. If in doubt, give it a clout. Just to square it up a bit. Now it's gone too far the other way, see? Bit more. Proof of the pudding's in the hammering. That's it, that's perfect. Good clout with a hammer always sorts things out, doesn't it? I'll try the other side just so he's on the safe side. Right, that's that. All I've got to do now is put the other screws in and screw that piece on, and that's the leg section done. To come outside to show you the next bit, because it's too big and unwieldy to do in the workshop. Basically, I've got the leg units assembled now, and I've just leant them against the wall. This is the piece of board I'm going to fit on the front. Again, it's only a recycled piece of old board. And I shall screw that onto the front like so. Some of those hefty screws in it, hold it really firm. You'll notice down the bottom board, which is much smaller to hold the legs apart, I'm going to put that on the inside. The simple reason is that if you put it on the outside, when you're standing up close to the bench, it tends to get in the way. So if you put it on the outside, so if you put it on the inside, it kicks it back out of the way of your feet when you're working. If you're working close up to the bench, you don't really want to be hitting on that all the time. I've laid the legs on the side now so I can assemble it better. I'm just going to drill these holes. I've got this old auger bit in the electric drill. Old-fashioned drill, obviously I wouldn't have a nice new one, would I? I'm just going to drill these holes, the screws. They're quite large because they are large, as you've seen, large screws, size 12, so watch how quick it goes through this wheel. I'm putting 3 holes in, enough, 2 at the top and 1 at the bottom, but I might also put some end grain. I might put a couple of screws down through the top here, these side rails here. So I think I will drill a hole in there for that, in preparation for that. Do 1 at the bottom and 1 at the top. Do the same on this side. I'm guessing the distance. Right, that's that bit done. Now then, make sure there's no bits underneath it. Put the rail on there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to lay that on the top. I'll get the other end just right. As you've gathered, it's a warm day today. I've got my shorts on. That's unusual, especially outside. Right, get that roughly square. Again, I'm going to put a screw in the top first, because obviously I've got to square the legs up, and I can't do that until I've assembled it partly. So I should put 1 screw in, and that will allow me to adjust it first. Screws don't hold very well in end grain, but it'll do for this. It's not the main thing that's holding it. Got my Yankee screwdriver, do the job. Screwing into end grain isn't perfect, but as I say, it's only an extra, it's not in this case. I'm doing this one first so that I can level it up. Just put 1 in there, so I've got to get the legs square. I'll move the camera, you might be able to see what I'm doing. You might not, you might not, I don't know. Not very exciting anyway. You might get a glimpse of my legs though. It just holds it together temporarily. All I'm going to do, I'll just put this down so you can see. I'm just going to lay it across there just to make sure. So that's not quite square actually. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to kick that. I'll get this one square first. I should have done this first really, shouldn't I? Right, that's about right. So having got that one square, what I'm going to do now is put my square down. I'm going to put another screw in there to hold it, and then I'll go to the other end. I'll put that one in the middle there. Put that in. People watching this are probably thinking, ah, silly old fool going on about all this. We know all that. Yeah, that's near enough as damn it. Now I've got to go to the other end and check this one. Move the camera so you can see what's going on. Not very exciting line, but actually that's quite close. That's got to be fitted on there, but actually no. You see, this is where I nearly went wrong. I was going to put that on there, and that's the way I'm going to do it for the back. But for this one, it's got to go on the inside, as I mentioned. It's got to go in there. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this the back. Easier than turning it all over and starting again. So what I'm going to do, imagine this is the back. It's going against the wall. And so I can just put that on the outside because it won't matter. Then I'll turn it over and do the front, which I thought this was, and then I can put this one on the inside. Well, there's a couple of screws on the back. Note I said the back. Right, there we go. That's the back of the bench. The front will look almost identical, except that the bottom rail will be on the inside, as I explained earlier, so it doesn't get in the way, because otherwise that'll get in the way when you're walking there. So all I've got to do now is turn it around and do the other side, or the front of the bench. As I mentioned before and in my other videos, I prefer these old drills compared to the modern plastic ones. I've had this particular model, it's a Black & Decker, made in the UK, like they always were. Actually made in England, it says on the top. 2-speed, mechanical 2-speed, and it's also got an acceleration trigger and a hammer action. It's not technologically advanced like today's drills, but it works beautifully, and it's nicer to hold, I think, than the modern drills, and I use them all the time. I mean, what's wrong with that? Just drilling the holes for the front of the bench. Don't forget the pilot holes, because otherwise you won't get the screws in. Or you will get them in and not split the wood. Just do the one in that corner. Lovely tool. Look at that. I'll put that one in first, as I explained before, and now I'm going to go to the other end and do that one. Now this other end, it was a bit tight and I've got to pull it in to screw it. So what I've done, I've actually whacked a 2.5-inch nail in there. All that's doing is just holding this together while I put the screws in. I'll take the nail out afterwards. Well, that's typical, isn't it? Just started to say what a lovely sunny day it was, and because I got my shorts on because it was a warm day, it's gone all cloudy, and I just felt some spots of rain, so I reckon we might get a shower. Just as I was saying about the rain starting, I got everything indoors just in case. I didn't want to get it all wet, especially my tools and stuff. Got it all indoors, and guess what? It stopped raining. And also, by the way, when I was talking last, just as I was saying about the rain and I was going to pack up, the blimmin' battery went in the camera and it cut off, so I don't know what I recorded, whether I have or not.